Angelina Jolie directs and produces her second film, Unbroken, a biographical war drama which follows the life of Olympian athlete and World War II veteran Louis Zamperini, who along with two fellow crewmen survived for 47 days on a safety raft after their plane crashed into the Pacific Ocean, only to have the misfortune of being caught by the Japanese and sent to a series of prisoner of war camps. The film is based on the non-fiction book written about the guy, and man does it show. I'm gonna jump right into this. This film is too long for its own good, okay? It's a tad bit over 2 hours, which is usually, an optimal length for a film. But when the actual meat of the story only starts after like half an hour of needless backstory, you kind of get a little bored until you get there. There were two main things we needed to find out about this character. One, that he is an accomplished Olympic distance runner, and two, he has a good relationship with his family. They love and care about him, he cares and loves about them. Those pieces of information could have easily been fed to us through dialogue, or if they really wanted to use flashbacks, they could have kept it at a couple of minutes. But having them take up a quarter of the film was just too much. Angelina Jolie said that when it came to the construction of the film, that they felt like they had to do it in chapters, so like every part of the film is like its own film within itself, its own separate story. I would say she equally succeeds as well as fails, both ways to the film's detriment. Does that even make any sense? It's probably very difficult to make an interesting lost in the middle of the ocean type film, but we all know good ones have been made in the past. So why is this one so uninteresting? Exactly like the first act, the first part of the second act also overstays its welcome. It's only after an hour and already halfway through this film that we finally get to the camps. It was when I actually started enjoying it. It's the part where they finally pick up the pace. I guess they really had no choice anymore, seeing as they had to condense 2.5 years of these guys' lives into an hour of film. And we finally get introduced to a main villain, the merciless and brutal Japanese corporal who treats Zamperini very cruelly, often beating him. And real emotions start coming through because these actors finally have the opportunity to show their talent. Because this film has good acting, it's just not really put to effect until this second half. Which is not without its problems, however. While I think the Japanese guard is menacing enough to make a decent villain, it's pretty much all that he is. He's very one-dimensional. Psycho, power-hungry, but ultimately coward are the only words I can think to describe him. And, the usual. I mean, he doesn't really stand out as a well-fleshed-out character. I feel like this review should also turn out to be somewhat of a recommendations list for films which are like this, but better than this, and therefore I would nominate Against the Sun. It's also based on a very similar true story about three Americans who find themselves adrift on a small lifeboat during World War II. It's no masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but at least it's well paced, it knows what its main story is, it plunges you into it quickly, and it commits to it. And all the important information we need to find out about the backgrounds of these characters is resolved swiftly through the conversations they have with each other. So I guess if you're interested in a story like this, the best solution would be to maybe watch the first half of Against the Sun, watch the second half of Unbroken, and then if you have an extra couple of hours, then watch The Railway Man, and just pretend that all the characters are exactly the same people, and then you would have yourself a great movie. But as it is, it is what it is. I mean, I understand that they wanted to pay tribute to this guy, but I just don't understand why they felt like they had to show us everything. 4 people wrote the script, 2 of them being the Coen brothers, and still they couldn't make this work? Everything else is basically fine. I mean, I wouldn't blame Angelina for this being so lackluster. It just goes to show how much editing can affect a film, and I'm not just talking about how frames are put together, one after the other. I'm talking about how much you leave in and how much you leave out after it's all filmed. And, this movie could have been 90 minutes easily. But I think I've ranted enough. That was my review, people. And I will see you later.